Today's episode is a bit sad, as it involves a loss in our family. We've experienced a heat wave in Poland with temperatures reaching 40 degrees Celsius, and my son's pet was a victim of those high temperatures. Or at least that's what we think, because on the hottest day, his praying mantis simply fell and began to slowly die. We had an insect hospital for a few days, misting it with water and feeding it honey water, but nothing helped, and after a few days, mantis passed away. And my son was sad, and that's why I would like to sew a praying mantis doll for him as a reminder of this alien asparagus. At first I wanted to make a plush toy that looked exactly like a real mantis, but then I realized that wasn't really my style, and I preferred the idea of a doll that resembled both a mantis and a human, so I decided to give it hands and feet. I think green linen will work well for this project. I already have a piece with adhesive interfacing attached. It helps the edges and seams hold better. I also have some green wooden beads. They were a necklace in a previous life. Plus some green thread and a styrofoam ball. I think the ball will be perfect for the eyes. Okay, I will start with the eyes. I don't want them to have a styrofoam texture, so I am covering them with foam clay. Now I will quickly make the head. It needs to be a triangle shape, but I don't want it to look flat, so I will add a strip of fabric along the top. First I am sewing the two pieces together, leaving the opening for the eyes and the section above them. Now I need to fold over the edge to insert the eyes, and then I will sew that separate strip on tightly so the eyes stay secure. I stuffed the head, sewed up the remaining opening, and now I want to add some detail to the mantis head. Insects have many interlocking chitinous plates, and the mantis has them on its head as well. It doesn't have to look exactly like a real mantis, but it definitely needs plenty of detail. I cut the pieces by eye and then sew them on, tucking the edges underneath. The stitches are visible because that's the look I like, the stitching that adds extra detail. Time for the mandibles. Mantis is a predator, so it has powerful mandibles that I need to create. I cut out 4 bean shapes, sewed them together in pairs, and then turned them right side out. I think it would be better to add some darker lines with thread here that will add even more detail. The mantis also has something resembling to lower jaw. Its mouth is actually very complex and hard to make out clearly, but something definitely opens up here. I saw it when we was feeding my son's mantis. So the head is ready now. Time to make the neck. I want to build it around a bead so it could move a little. I really like floppy toys with long limbs. I measured the piece of fabric and ensured the bead would fit, and then sewed it into a tube, tucked the ends inward and stitched the edges down so they wouldn't unravel. I sewed the tube to the underside of the mantis head and then inserted the bead. I made a longer tube for the other end of the neck the same way. I am not doing anything complicated. I sketched half of the torso by eye, folded the fabric in half and cut it out to make it symmetrical. Now I just need to sew it together. I've stuffed the torso and I am quickly moving on to the abdomen. This project was supposed to be quick, but it really isn't. It's taken me many days because I've been sewing everything by hand because I am too lazy to go upstairs, get the sewing machine and bring it down. Besides, I enjoy hand sewing. I sketched out what the arms should look like. A praying mantis has 4 limbs that ends with sword-like blades, but since my mantis is meant to be a humanoid, it will have hands instead of blades. I cut out fabric pieces by eye, sewed them, stuffed them, and tucked the ends inwards and secured the edges so they don't unravel. And finally, I sewed on a wooden bead that will serve as an elbow. I found 2 green buttons in my button collection. They aren't strictly necessary for attaching the arms to the torso, but I like using buttons. If I had more of these green ones, I would have attached the legs the same way, but I only had 2. I will sew on the remaining limbs the same way, so I will spare you the footage of that, but there is one different element, the forearm. I made it rounded on one side and sewed in felt spikes to match my praying mantis vibe. All the asparagus pieces are sewn. Now for the stuffing. It's tedious work, so let's speed things up. It would be cool if that kind of magic actually existed. Seriously, sewing these asparagus pieces took me a whole day. The torso looks a bit flat and boring. I am going to add strips of fabric to mimic the segments of an insect's abdomen. I started at the bottom, folding the edges underneath, and then stitched them down only along the sides. Now for the hands, they are not very complicated. I cut out a hand shape with the fingers joined together and sew the pieces with the right sides facing each other. Then I turn it right side out. I secured the edge with a stitch and added some stuffing. To separate the fingers, I am using dark green thread and simply stitching a line between fingers. And I make sure that thread lines up evenly on both sides of the hand, since both sides will be visible. Done. Now the feet or shoes. I spent a long time wondering what shape a mantis feet should look like, but I finally decided that a simple form would work best. I sketched out a shoe shape, then cut out enough pieces for 4 shoes. I'm not great at math, but I think that means cutting it out 8 times. And I also cut out the sole by eye, of course. It turned out to be too big, but that doesn't matter. It's better too big than too small. I sewed the front and the back of the shoe together first and then attached the sole. I turned the shoe right side out and decided I wanted the edge to look more crisp, so I added a line of stitching around the edge before inserting the stuffing. I finished the top edge and sewed the shoe to the bead. All the legs are done now, and the next step are the wings. I had planned to make 2 pairs, transparent ones and the outer covers, but I've misplaced the fabric I keep specifically for the wings like this, so I will make just 1 set. Besides, you even cannot see the transparent wings on a praying mantis unless they are spread out, so that's enough for me. Also, embroidering those wings took a whole day again, and I'd had enough. I also made a sort of cover to hide the wings ends, and now I am moving on to adding a few details to the front of the torso as it looks a bit sad and plain. I cut out some shapes I stitched around each piece to secure the edges, but I will remove this stitch once I sew them in place since it's ugly and unnecessary. On the back of the torso I added the same kind of strips. On the back of the torso I added the same kind of strips I used on the abdomen. It's pretty simple, but it makes this asparagus monster look more interesting. We are near the finish line. One of my favorite finishing touches for dolls like this is thick visible stitching, and I am going to edge most of the mantis body with a blanket stitch. At least I think that's what it's called. It's pretty simple to do, but it still took me whole day again. The stitching is done, so the last step is painting. I laid down some cardboard to protect the wooden table. It doesn't like water, not to mention water mixed with paint. First I painted the whole thing with just water. This helps the paint soak into the fabric and spread, creating a nice color transition. I painted all the areas where light doesn't reach, all the seams, the soles of the shoes. The paint looks dark, but it will be much lighter once it dries. I could have even gone darker, but I just want to finish this now. The project has been dragging on too long and I have other things to do. I can practically hear the weeds growing in my garden. All that's left are the eyes. I like them to have the metallic finish, since praying mantis eyes are so strange, almost holographic. I don't know how to achieve that specific look, so a metallic finish will be fine. I added mica powder to the paint and it was a waste of mica. It didn't make any difference, but mixing gold paint with green created a pretty good color. And that's basically it. I will just quickly say thank you for watching to the end. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see each other in the next episode. Bye!